This is... I swear, it could have let me know that updates were available at any time in the last 30 seconds when I had opened this up. It waited till the moment after I pressed the record button on the camera. That's Windows for you. This is the vlog for August 3rd, 2018. And Anna has gone back home to Washington, D.C. So the guest room is mine to use as a little recording studio. I'm never going to actually make it into a recording studio because then it wouldn't function as a guest room. It would be too much work to change it between the two. And also I don't have a lot of recording studio equipment. I also need to make sure that this place gets turned out a bit, cleaned up. She left a little bit after I did for work, and didn't have much time to clean up. That's kind of her way. She's a whirlwind. I hope she's not watching these. She hasn't watched any of them yet, I don't think. But I do love her, although she does leave the trail behind her. What a nice day. Well, it was mostly nice. It was actually nicer outside than it was where I was sitting at work. There are a lot of us crammed into one area right now, and it has resulted in very warm bodies. Mostly my warm body. Sweating a bit, as you can see. But the weekend itself looks like it's going to be nice. It's going to slowly rise in temperature and peak on Wednesday at about 88 degrees last I saw, and then cool off again next weekend. But this weekend looks like it's going to be very nice. Low 80s at most, but maybe 70s. I'm seriously considering getting up tomorrow morning and walking, although it's supposed to be partly cloudy. I bet it's going to be plenty nice. Especially if I get up right at 6 and leave. As for what I did last night, I didn't do much of anything. I don't even remember what I did, except that I went to bed very early. And it was a good idea because I was very tired. I'd had trouble sleeping the night before, so I feel a lot better today. But now I have some things to think about. World of Warcraft is a game that I started playing in 2004, 14 years ago this November. And 2004, if you don't remember or weren't around back then, was a fantastic year for video games. I was in college, and I made a terribly large Christmas list for my parents that year. They were very pleased with my performance in school, though, so they indulged me. I asked for Metal Gear Solid 3 for the PS2, Halo 2 for the Xbox, Half-Life 2 on the PC, and I think I'd already picked up World of Warcraft. And all of those games came out in 2004, and all of them are fantastic. Many of them still get played today in some capacity, or have been remade in more modernized forms. But of all of those games, the one with probably the longest legacy is World of Warcraft, which is still updated regularly and played regularly by millions of people, myself included. The problem is this latest expansion, much like Cataclysm, which was not terribly well received on its launch, is changing a lot of the core elements of the world, and specifically, it is shifting the Eastern Kingdoms, which were once split between the Alliance to the south and the Horde to the north, and Kalimdor, which was Alliance to the north and Horde to the south. And they're going to make all of Kalimdor essentially Horde and all of the Eastern Kingdoms essentially Alliance. And to do this, they are burning down the tree Teldrassil, which has been the home of the Night Elves since their original home of Hyjal was destroyed in the previous Warcraft game. And the the Undercity, which was built on the ruin of Lordaeron after the undead took it in Warcraft 3 as well, was the home of the Forsaken, who are being kicked out. And it just makes me think, who at Blizzard thought that sort of upsetting the status quo of two of the most popular races in the game was going to make everyone go, oh, this is worth paying money for. This is going to be the first expansion I don't buy on day one. And that should say something right there. I've picked up this game in 2004. I got I was actually gifted the regular edition of Burning Legion, or Burning Crusade, in 2007. That was a Christmas gift from a friend. I didn't get to collect it for a couple weeks until after Christmas. So I had the special edition of the first World of Warcraft. I didn't have the special edition of the second, but I bought the special edition of the third, and the special edition of the fourth, and the special edition of the fifth. So that's special edition of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, and Mists of Pandaria. And then I held off on getting the special edition of Warlords of Draenor, but ended up liking that one quite a lot, despite some weird stuff about it. And I also got the regular, well, I got the digital deluxe versions of both of these. So I got the digital deluxe version of Warlords of Draenor and the digital deluxe version of Legion, which is the most recent one that's being replaced by Battle for Azeroth. I'll probably get the digital deluxe for Battle of Azeroth, but they're making a lot of changes that no one really wanted. They're making some changes that people did want. They are improving certain aspects of the game that have not gotten a lot of attention for a long time. They're offering a number of sub-races that people have requested, but those races are all based off of races that already exist, so it doesn't feel particularly new. And there's no new class. They've only added 3 classes to the game in their Cataclysm, Legion, and then Battle for Azeroth. So out of the 8 iterations of the game, only 3 of them have had new classes, which generally brings a large breath of life into the game because it gives us something that we haven't experienced before. When new races are added, sometimes that makes a big difference too. When the Worgen were added in Cataclysm, for example, or the Pandaren were added in Pandaria, I was originally a bit skeptical, but eventually really grew to enjoy those. And I played I made a class for each of those that I had not played a lot before. So that's good. But I've played every class now. I haven't gotten all of them to max level, which is funny considering I played the game for 14 years. But I don't feel that need to do that either. I should really level my rogue. I used a boost to make one of my rogues level 100 when Legion came out, but my previous highest level rogue was in the 60s. So there was a gap there where I didn't really, I mean, I understood how the class worked. I understood its rotations. I read guides, and I did a lot of content at level on those rogues. So it's not like I was completely worthless, but certainly somebody who had been playing it for years would have a big edge on me. But yeah, it's just the new content they are offering, the Kul Tiras area and the Zandalar area, are cool. People have been wondering what's up with Kul Tiras for a long time, and the Zandalar Trolls have figured heavily into Warcraft lore for the entirety of World of Warcraft. But with Legion and Pandaria especially, we got to see some new stuff that we didn't really know existed, and I think that is super, super important for an expansion. If you're expanding the game, you don't want new iterations of the same stuff you've already got. You want new things. You want things that you haven't seen before. You want spectacle. One of the things I've talked about a lot about games, it's not necessarily the story itself, the sequence of events but how those events are delivered and the emotion that it evokes in players, that's more important than the nitty-gritty of who backstabbed what or who betrayed who or what you have to do to restore this, that, and the other thing. That stuff, it's always so derivative and always so similar to the same stories we've seen before. But if you find a way to bring it to a player, to involve a player somehow, or at least present it in a way that they've never experienced before, that's really big. That's really important. And they can do that with this story. They can tell a story that we haven't seen before, or tell it in a way we haven't seen before. But it's World of Warcraft battle for Azeroth. It's War of Battle. And that just seems terribly redundant. Anyway, I've gone on for 10 minutes. I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.